We are just coming into the town now. Can I see some boat trips down there? So if I can park up, I might see if I can take the dogs on a boat trip over to the Farne Isles. That'd be fun. Right, I haven't got a sat nav on, so I'm just taking a guess as to which route to take. I'm not doing the A1 south. Let's see if we go left here. We don't want the A1. Oh, you watch this take me to a dead end now. Yeah, it's taking me down to the harbour. I'm going to have to turn around. That's a dead end that way. And I would doubt I can get all the way down there, so let's see if I can come backwards, put my hazards on. Doesn't say anywhere that I've seen that it's a one-way street. Welcome to my driving. This will teach me to wing it without the sat nav. Would like to do one of those boat trips. Come on, Mr. Bird, cross the road. Oh, he's undecided whether he wanted to come back or not then. Right, I'm going to turn you off for a little while and put my sat nav on to see where I'm going. I've turned around at the Lazy Cow, just past Seahouses, because I've just spotted a park up, which I think is the one on the Park for the Night app. Yeah, coming out of Seahouses there were park ups, but they just seem to be in places that you shouldn't really park, and I don't like parking in places like that. So I've come to buy the golf course, buy a pool, which is what it said on the Park for the Night app, and I'm by the Globe campers. Let's have a look. And I'm going to pull in here. It's very bumpy. Very bumpy. But it's a long way. Let's have a look. I don't want to go into this the van that's here. It's very bumpy on this bit here, isn't it? I'm thinking about doing it this. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it this way. So. Oh dear, he's watching me now. There we go. We're more or less level. We're going to go a bit of a walk. I've took my rucksack out because I need to take the dogs water and some drinks for myself. And I've just made myself a wrap. You haven't seen this table, have you? That's my table that moves. So I can basically sit on my mum's ottoman and eat with the table. Lovely. And I parked next to Globe Camper. Had a very brief conversation when I was pulling in. But what an absolutely gorgeous vehicle. He was basically just telling me where the potholes were. Hi Globe Camper. Just two vans here. It's enough room for another couple. And I'm now going to walk down into the town. And I may go on a boat to the Farne Islands. Let's just see. It's quite a nice little park up, right by the golf course. And I am just across the road there. The only problem is there's no signal at all. But for one night I think I can get over it. I am again following a public footpath. It's not the English coast path though. However, up here it actually says that it is, along with St Cuthbert's. So what are the chances of me getting hit by a golf ball? I've got to walk through the middle of there. Don't hold your breath. Everybody's looking at something, but I can't figure out what it is. Yeah, ringed plover chicks have hatched. There were 4, but now there's only 2 left because a crow has taken one today, unfortunately. Nasty crows. I'm just about to walk down there now and see whether they allow dogs to go on the boat to go over to the Farne Isles or Islands. And here we have a whale jawbone, thought to be from a right whale. They were discovered in a barn early in the 20th century. I'll zoom you closer. There. Pause and read. So I fastened these pair up. Why? We come down. Stay there, boys. Oh, that's my dogs going by me. Scout! I can't leave them for 1 minute. Take 2. Because the boys were being naughty. So these are the Eider ducks. They're quite big. They're not running from me, they're running from some dogs. This is a statue called the Rescue. And then the harbour's down there. We're all booked to go on. 2:45. Got 20 minutes to wait. It's only 1.5 hours. And it is with Serenity, which is just over there. Dogs are allowed on there. We've booked to go on. We're just making our way over to the Serenity Farne Isles boat tours. They also do diving there. Dogs are allowed on there. It's just a 1.5 hour one. Somebody was trying to sell me one for 2.5, 3 hours, and you got off for half an hour. But you apparently have to leave the dogs on the boat, which is a no-no for me. That one was £25. This one's 20 quid. But for 1.5 hours, that's enough for the boys. They haven't been on a boat since they were puppies, so it might be a bit scary for them. I won't believe them on their own. We're now queuing, about to go on the boat. So wish me luck with the boys. Herbie? Herbs? Herbie is completely chilled. And we're off.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Serenity 3. My name's Chris, I'll be your skipper today. The crewman on board is Nathan. Could I please just have your attention as we go through the following mandatory safety announcements. In the unlikely event of an emergency, you will be notified by means of an announcement over the microphone. This vessel is equipped with 265-person life rafts, around 250 recorded shipwrecks throughout these islands, and when the monks used to live in our farm, the bodies of the sailors lost at sea but washed up around these parts are all buried on the west wide open here, and it is estimated that there can be anywhere up to 350 people buried on here. And for that reason, the West Wide Open is consecrated ground to this day, and nobody's allowed to set foot there. Rock on the Farne Islands, and in places the intrusive sheets can reach up to 30 metres thick. Now the birds all over the cliff faces here, with their dark backs, white fronts and thin dark beaks, these are guillemots, a small member of the auk family, the same as puppets and razorbills. The guillemot lay one greenish-blue egg with broiled blotches on it, and they lay the egg directly on a bare rock each and every year. As they come and go from the cliff edges, they often bomb their eggs, and so if you ever get the chance to see a guillemot egg, it's shaped round at one end and very pointed at the other, so that as the birds come and go, hopefully the egg will just spin around in a circle instead of falling off the cliff face and into the sea. It is also then, when guillemot chicks are just 2 weeks old, they're referred to as jumplings as opposed to fledglings, and that is because they'll jump off the top of the cliff faces before they can eat fly. They will then go out to the local feeding grounds, such as the Farne Deeps and the Dogger Bank, and that's where they'll learn how to feed and fend for themselves until they grow to adult size. Also, as we go around, if you look carefully in amongst the guillemots, you might be lucky enough to spot a bridled guillemot. These make up only 5% of the population here. The further north you go, that percentage does increase within the colonies, but nobody actually really knows why, and it just looks quite comical as they have a white ring around their eye and a white line running back over. So it looks like they're wearing a pair of white spectacles. Also, if you hear some high-pitched chirps, there are quite a few jumping chicks coming off the cliff faces and into the water. There's a few more tall dark birds. Now these are shags and they're a member of the cormorant family. The difference between a shag and a cormorant is that the shags have very dark green plumage, yellow patches at the gape of their beak, and during the breeding season they will also have a crest of feathers on the top of their head. That crest of feathers is just there for display purposes only, and once they've displayed and laid their eggs, the crest will simply drop off.
You got that?
This does then make it much more difficult to distinguish a shag from a cormorant. It is also quite easy to mistake a young shag from a young cormorant, as they have a very similar light ground coloration. Now cormorants are much taller, they do tend to be a lot more flighty, as you saw on the first rock that we arrived at. They have bronze brown and black plumage, white patches on their chin and cheeks, and a long sharp beak with a downturned hook at the tip. You'll often be able to see both species of birds spreading their wings out in the wind, and they have to do this just in order to dry their feathers out, as they don't produce the same natural waterproofing oils as other seabirds. That might sound like a genetic defect, but both shags and cormorants get the majority of their food directly from the seabed, and so they intentionally saturate their feathers just in order to help them sink, which also then gives them a longer time feeding on the bottom. At the very height of the seabird breeding season, it is estimated that there can be anywhere between 200 to 500 guillemots on the top of each pinnacle alone, with 20,000 nesting here on Staple Island, and from last year's count, 42,892 individuals in total. Nowhere else can such a varied amount of seabirds be seen, with 15 species breeding in such a small area. And also, as we come in behind the pinnacles here, there are a very good number of the small gulls that are on their nests. There are quite a few chicks in the nests if you look carefully. Some are only a couple of days old, and others getting quite close to fledging themselves and between 5 and 6 weeks old. And these are called kittiwakes. And at the very beginning of each seabird breeding season, there is very fierce competition between the kittiwakes for higher up nesting spots, as these are obviously a lot less vulnerable to the harsh sea conditions we do occasionally experience from time to time. And kittiwakes get their name from the very distinctive call that they make between each other. They do have to rebuild their nests each year, as they do get destroyed throughout the harsh conditions we see over the winter months. And also, being from the gull family, can have up to 3 eggs in any brood. Unlike your auks, your puffins, guillemots and razorbills, which basically mean that they will only ever lay 1 single egg in a year. Also known as sea parrots because of their brightly coloured triangular beaks. Those beaks are just covered in forked plates, and at the end of the seabird breeding season, the outer plates will simply drop off and their beaks will go back to being a dark grey colour. So initially when they return back to these islands, they do find it quite difficult to dig out their burrows just purely because their feet are so soft. So what they have to do is land on the bare rock for a few moments, scratch around with their feet before returning back to the water. They repeat this process throughout the day for several days until their feet eventually harden up. It is after that that they'll dig out their burrows up to about 3 feet deep with 2 large chambers at the end of it. One of the chambers is just used as a bathroom, and in the other is where they'll lay a single white egg each and every year. These puffins are the only species of bird here to dig out their own burrows, but it has been known for a puffin to simply return back to the Farne Islands, find a rabbit warren, kick the rabbit out, and then take over. They do generally gather together in groups of 20 or more known as puffin clubs, and it's within those clubs that at around 5 years of age, they'll find their partner and they will stay with that exact same partner then the rest of their life. It is then with their parents they will take it in turns to feed their young called a puffling, a diet of mainly sand eels. Pufflings do tend to leave in the cover of darkness, potentially not returning back to dry land for up to 5 years, and for that reason the opportunity to see a puffling is actually quite rare. The National Trust are responsible for maintaining a count of the birds throughout these islands, and last year's puffin count, it did come back that there were 50,103 breeding pairs of puffins, which was an increase from their previous count. And so currently all the signs are there for a growing and healthy puffin colony. The best time to see seabirds here in the islands is from April until about mid-July. Now we do also have the third member of the Orc family along the rock there, and these are the razorbills. Looking similar to guillemots, but the razorbills have a much glossier black back, a white front, and then that very distinctive white stripe running through their short, sharp beak. This lighthouse was manned for 164 years before it finally went automatic in 1990. It is owned and maintained by Trinity House, who are a charity dedicated to safeguarding shipping and also seafarers, and they have a statutory duty as the General Lighthouse Authority for England, Wales, the Channel Islands and Gibraltar. by previous light keepers, including Grace Darling's grandfather Robert, debris that had washed up on the shore, place it on top of this square tower and set fire to it. And in the early days that was the only indication to ships that they were clear from the rocks. The cottage itself in a normal year is occupied by National Trust Rangers for 4.5 months of the year. They also live on the inner farm for up to 9 months. Completed in the year 1500 under the instruction of Thomas Castell, who was prior of Durham at the time. Its main use was most likely defensive, but certainly throughout the reign of Elizabeth I, it was used as a lighthouse. And just like the Brownsman Lighthouse, keepers here had to collect wooden coal, place it on top and set light to it. It's called Prior Castell's Tower and is built on the site of St Cuthbert's cell.
Then we headed back to dry land, yay! We survived the boat trip. It was good. Boys were good. Scout was shaking. I think he was cold. A lot of people were freezing. They were giving out milk bottles with hot water in as hot water bottles. But it was very interesting. Just got off the boat now, so I'm just heading back to the van. Oh, thinking I could do with a beer really, but I'm not going to. I think I'm not going to stop the night where we are. That's a nice car. That's a zebra. I think we might move on because I've got no signal where I am, not even for a phone call if I needed it. My face looks black. I I think I'm walking down a dead end now. I'm just walking willy-nilly. Windswept too. This is my park up for the night. I'm in Almworth. Or Almmouth. I'm in Almouth. Just going to walk. It's late, but just need to get these boys out for the nighttime walk. These light nights are fantastic. Let's go back this way again. But I think the sun will block it all out from you. And my van is just where the house line ends.